What's up, ElkShape YouTube? Let me hit you with a little scenario here. Pretty typical scenario, actually. I show up back there, you know, get the stuff ready, get the stuff to make stuff ready, and then what do I gotta do? Well, I can make some stuff, but I'm kind of hanging around on the talent. Where is he? Where are you, Dan? You guys know how it is. But we're gonna have some fun, make a day of it. This is Spokane Valley Archery. MFJJ's inside fulfilling orders or something like that. You know, doing what archery shop owners do. We're gonna go harass him, make some stuff, and make a day of it. Classic, boys. Look who comes in. Bringing it up the rear. See, even Louie knows he's late.
The song? That's a little bass. I hit some open ground and I'm like, see ya. What do I want to be ya?
Tires, dog. Where'd you get that recommendation?
Getting back together with your girlfriend? Is that recording?
Yeah.
Jake, you getting back with your girlfriend?
He's working a 9 to 5.
What up, Sarah? If you watch the channel. Oh, literally turned that on. That's hilarious. Dude,
Hey guys, this is Josh with all of his staff out here
That's the start of it.
on a Monday.
Only 200
Fulfilling
things today.
orders from you guys. You're keeping them busy.
Heck yeah.
Fear the beard.
Kind of like a different kind of Santa.
What is Webifius doing here?
I got business stuff to do.
hey, I just was talking about you.
Hey, tell them my website.
I don't have a website yet.
What's your domain?
I'm working on it.
Because I just bought webfabrication.com.
What a dick.
That's called Business 101.
Hey, what comes to mind when I say, because this is, I go, hey Tim, you know this song? He's like, no, I'm 30 whatever years old. Frog Stomp.
Oh shit!
Yeah!
Yeah, I totally forgot.
I was rocking out to
Oh man.
Frog Stomp.
Yeah, whatever happened to Silverchair? I don't know what that is either.
You're on business delivery?
They did.
Picking up a winch for a bumper that I'm building for Josh. So
Picking up a winch or a winch?
winch. So no. So the bumper that we're building doesn't have a mount for a winch. So I'm basically getting a winch, making a mount, weld that into the bumper, and then once that's done, we can mount it to the truck, and then we're gonna do some fancy coating. So it's gonna come out pretty sweet.
Yeah, the next time I slide off the road, I can lift myself
That's
out.
a pretty fancy vest. What is it?
Like that. Numa vest.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, it's pretty good for just a extra layer.
Got a discount code
Keep
for it?
everything nice and tight. That's on the ElkShape channel. I don't have discount code.
Yes, he does. It's called Jake69. You can find it on his OnlyFans.
Doing a follow-up video to the X Impacts. Season's over. I'm finally done hunting, so I put the RIP TKOs on the shelf for now. Doesn't mean I'm not coming back to them, by the way. I do love those arrows. I get messages all the time. Hey Dan, I saw you switch from the 5mm Axis match grades down to the RIP TKOs. How did you like that? I loved it. It gave me more options for front and center. It gave me more options for tinkering. I loved it. I love that arrow. It survived tack, no problem, into any foam. It survived these targets out here at SVA, and it went through animals like butter. So anyways, the X Impact, I love it, but I obviously need to get either my bow tuned to the arrow or tune my arrow to the bow.
Well, what you're running into is your tear is not the same as it was.
Check out this
Point
tear.
left.
Come on over. Okay, so it's point left.
So this is point left or knock right. You'll probably see it called knock right. And all this would indicate here with a left to right change from a bow that was previously tuned is that there's a spine difference between that arrow and the arrow setup he was shooting. Whether it be a length difference in the arrow, whether it be a physical spine difference, whether it be a different amount of weight in the front, it's changing the spine of the arrow. So you can either play with how long the arrow is to try to change that, or it looks like his rest can stand to come out a little bit, so we're going to try that first, but that's why there's a difference between what he did shoot and this. And you, like I said, you can manipulate this, which this should be technically a stiffer hole. If it was point right, it would be a weaker hole. And so what you would do in this scenario, if you didn't want to change the bow, is you'd add more weight to the front and weaken the arrow, or not cut the arrow short. cut the arrow a little longer, it's going to be a little stiffer. Those are all options to change that without actually functionally touching the bow. But we went back and measured his left to right, and I think he played with it a little bit because it's not 13/16. It's a little inside, and that's the adjustment we would make to try to correct this anyway. So we're going to reset it at 13/16, see what it looks like, and then we may play with how much weight's in the front of this to make that shoot straight, rather than taking it out of perfect square. So that's what we're going to do.
You're accusing me of playing with it a little bit.
I have a feeling you were playing with it.
All right, so we just cracked the set screw. Obviously flipped up the, if you're gonna measure, just flip up your rest. So we just loosen this, rest comes up because it's limb driven. And then we're gonna measure from the riser, like literally the edge of this riser to the center of the arrow. And we're hopefully it's 13/16. In this case, it isn't because I played with it.
It's more like 3/4 or a little more than 3/4. So we're gonna
Watch this turn, Timmy. He just turned it, turned it. Okay. So he's turned it, and you can see I have mine silver sharpied because I didn't play with it.
I think you played with it before when I was done. And then Sharpie did. No, that's 13/16.
Okay, so set the set screw back down, shoot it through paper, have a perfect bullet hole.
Oh, maybe, we'll see. Maybe the spine's a little different. And we may need to manipulate it differently.
Here's
but this
the
is where we
question.
want the arrow rest to be.
Here's the question I have for you and the viewers. Viewers, you wanna know this. When should you mess with your rest versus when should you mess with the cam orientation, assuming your bow's in time and you have selected a pretty good arrow for what you're trying to do?
I wouldn't move my arrow rest more than a 16th with the arrow in it when you're measuring it physically. So if you gotta move it more than a 16th out of center, you probably need to stop and adjust your wielding. So it's a little better, but it's still not perfect. So we're probably gonna need to lean it, or we're gonna have to add more tip weight, which I know will make your arrow heavier, which is what you're trying to avoid. So we'll probably have to do a little bit of shimmage to correct that.
You're gonna shim that, so
it'd be the next size is all, because that's a small enough tear. You probably get rid of it on the next size.
Okay, and then guys, I have another question. This rest is not gonna be on here much longer, so do I really need to dick with this, assuming that I'm putting on the new Trinity?
You're not hunting with the bow. That's fine for now. It's not gonna hurt anything.
Okay.
But let's put that new rest on there and then.
Yeah, I really don't feel like doing cam orientation, knowing that this is not gonna be on here much
It's
longer.
getting unbolted in a couple of days, hopefully. Somewhere around there.
Again, the QAD, watch our videos, guys. I love QAD, they're awesome. But when it comes to heat, moisture, cold temperatures, dust.
Anytime you're relying on a spring orientation of a given tension to discharge and let the rest fall down, you're asking for trouble.
I don't want
Because
trouble, Josh.
if that cord length changes, if it gets hot, cold, dusty, wet,
It does.
something gets inside
It
that
does
rest,
get hot,
it makes it
dusty.
move just a little slower or a little faster for one reason or another. The same amount of pressure doesn't engage and drop the rest, so you run into your fletchings hitting it when it goes by and knocking it down as opposed to just falling. When that rest is set up right and your environment doesn't change, it works really well. It's just your environment changes when you're hunting.
I believe you. And we do hunt a variety of terrain features and conditions. All right, so don't do anything else?
I think that's close enough. You're not going to hurt anything right now, but we do want to correct that. But if we're going to change the rest in a couple of days anyway, seems like a waste of energy.
That's not even.
Why fix it twice kind of deal?
Are these for Jake's verdicts?
I don't know. Those came in today. I don't know what they're for.
I gave Jake my verdicts, which, by the way, if he doesn't end up using it, I'm going to get it back.
sitting over
I'm
there.
taking it back. I love that bow. But I gave him as a backup bow before we went to New Mexico because he didn't have a backup bow. I'm like, you can use this, set it up, and then it's Jake. He doesn't have a
Stay
domain. He's probably back with his girlfriend.
Really?
I hope not.
Oh God, no! Oh God, no!
I'm joking.
Oh, that poor
That's
bastard.
not true. That's not true. And he doesn't watch the channel, so he won't see the talking.
Oh no!
Oh, sorry, Jake. I'm just joking. I love you, buddy.
Okay, guys. So one thing we know about 4mm is when you put a lighted knock on them, there's not a lot of good options out there. They'll stay lit, per se, and then they might not. And then if you hit your animal, a lot of times they turn off. It's just really tough to find a good solution for 4mm and lighted knocks. Now, some people will argue, and that's cool. Maybe argue in the comments, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, there's not a lot of great options. And then here's my predicament. I hunt Idaho a lot and other states. And so what's the best idea for me to kind of be able to have, like, I don't want to bounce back and forth between, oh, this is lighted knock, this isn't lighted setups and all that.
Well, yeah, like so I think there's 2 or 3 lighted knock manufacturers that make one that small, and I actually used some of this size this year again. I gave it another shot for some tree stand stuff up close, and I shot a bear with one, and my lighted knock turned off a second. It hit it, and then it stopped working. And that was the same problem I ran into in years past when I used to use this diameter of size. I gave it another try because they said they were better, and that is what I ran into, and I've ran into it year in and year out. So it's part of why I don't use this size arrow, because I really want to shoot a lighted knock. And there's lots of good 204 size options on lighted knocks, different brands, different options. Everyone can have their favorite or preferred.
Okay, let's just hear your opinion on the
best 204. A lot of you guys run 204s, and who's to say I won't, but what's the best lighted knock for 204 diameter, in your opinion?
So I personally, I like the nocturnal shift because it has an on-off switch on it. It's 2 or 3 grains heavier, I think, than a standard regular nocturnal fit, but they have a little switch on the side. You just push it off. So before, when you were using these, you had to like pull your knife out of your pocket and stick it in there and turn it off, or use a really sharp field point. But these actually turn off really easy, and one really cool feature that you can get on them that I haven't really seen on other ones, I think I've seen it on one other one, is the strobing. So it switches back and forth between like green and red, blinks really fast, and it makes it look like 4 times as bright when you do that. So it stands out a heck of a lot more than a solid, but if you're not like, if you're worried you're gonna have a seizure or something like that, you can get them in solid colors. And they also do come with these little sleeves, so you can put them in different sizes of arrows.
Right.
But I really prefer the 204 size, because the advantage of 204 is you don't have a whole bunch of gaudy stuff hanging out the front, and the knock fits as tight as it possibly can and still have a functioning knock that doesn't fail. Now, Nocturnal's gotten a bad rap over certain years. I think a lot of that was fraudulent product that was coming out of China that was being labeled as Nocturnal.
Got ya.
Some of the early stuff they made wasn't great, but the last 4 years with their products, outside of the small one, I've not had failures, I've not had problems. So, you know, if you bought those Nocks in the past, that brand, and had a problem with it, you probably had some faulty crap that came out of China that was being backdoored out the back. So it's hard to beat that Nock, it's hard to beat that system. And if you want to, you know, the hard part about hunting in states that don't allow them versus do, what I personally do, so I don't have to worry about that, is I build a bow with all the cool shit, and then a bow with non-cool shit. So if you go to a state that doesn't allow you to use lighted Nocks, that state probably doesn't let you use mechanicals either. So if you want to set up a mechanical lighted Nock bow and then a non-lighted fixed blade bow, that's your choice. And it can be a backup, you know, if you need. In worst case scenario, you pull your lighted Nocks out if you have to go to a state that doesn't allow them, and recite it. But that's personally what I do. I set up one with cool stuff and one with not so much cool stuff.
Okay guys, last question. These are based off your comments. We do read them. We're trying to build content around you. Someone asked me, hey Dan, how much does this sleeve cover your arrow for when you're cutting?
I thought it was an inch, if I remember right. Yeah, 26.5 at the back of the adapter, 27.5, and that's less than an inch. So yeah, we cut them at 26.5, it covered an inch. So you have to add an inch of length to account for how much of the arrow that's gluing up and over, because you can't obviously have that on your launcher. It's another hesitation I have with things like this, because you end up making your arrows longer just to be able to use the hardware. Whereas ones that just fit towards the end, you don't have to add that extra length, so you end up with a shorter, stiffer, higher FOC projectile. There's some advantages to this type of deal, because this is durable.
Yeah.
And if it bends, you can take it off and replace it without having to actually unglue it because of how it bolts in on that system. But outside of that, I mean, you're running a longer arrow. Run a longer arrow, you run into a spine difference, you run into less FOC.
ABT, always be tinkering. Thanks to MFJJ for your thoughts. They're always welcome because you know a lot. Guys, if you like the channel, hit subscribe if you're into that. We'll catch you on the next one. Oh wait, Josh has got a YouTube channel too, and it's awesome, called Podium Archer. There's a link right there. Tap that subscribe.